at 6 we have three guests. So at 6 I will let them in, and also I'll just keep the meeting open till I finish speaking, and then I'll close it again.
Okay, no issues. The only thing is, what do you call? I was about to say something. Shit. What? Wait, Insia, don't open the thing. Just give me a second. Huh. And always remember, it doesn't matter how many people are there. Even if one person is there, remember that that one person has come for you. Okay?
Right.
Because that is something which I learned from my mentor, and I have been doing it till now. So the same thing, it's just being passed on. Okay. Love you loads.
Okay.
Bye. All the best, guys.
Bye.
Ma'am, I'm letting them in.
Yes, yes, sure. Hi, Manjeet. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fine, fine.
So, where are you from?
Hyderabad.
Oh, nice. So, are you into teaching?
Yeah.
Tell me something about yourself.
Wait.
Hi, Sunita. Hi, Manomani. Hi, Sujata.
Hi, Pushpa.
How are you, Sujata? Hello, Sunita. Hi, Asha. Hello, Manomani. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Where are you from?
I'm from Tamil Nadu.
Hi.
Hi.
So, are you into teaching?
Yes.
Could you please tell us more about yourself? Which grade learners do you teach? Which subject?
25 students only. Tamil and math.
Okay, nice. So, you are a school teacher, right? Nice to have you here
Thank you.
and hope to have a good conversation throughout the session with you.
Sure.
Sunita, we haven't heard from you. Are you there?
Ma'am, you start.
Yeah, yes, Cynthia, we can start.
Good evening, everyone. We are so glad to have you join us today. And this session is brought to you by Atulit Academy, founded by Radhika Kautha, a dedicated learning designer and corporate trainer. Her work is centered on equipping professionals with the practical tools they need to navigate today's workplace challenges with ease. Her mission and the core of everything we do is built on three pillars: clarity, confidence, and ownership. To ensure we have a smooth session, please keep a few quick housekeeping points in mind. Please keep your microphones muted to ensure the best sound quality for everyone. And we invite you to use the chat frequently for your thoughts and questions. And make sure to stay with us until the very end. So, today's topic may sound uncomfortable because somewhere most educators have silently felt this. Your portion is complete. But one important question remains: did students actually understand? Across schools and colleges, teachers are rushing, students are memorizing, and professors are overloaded. Management is chasing timelines and results, and slowly teaching becomes delivery and not learning. So, today is not about blaming educators, it is not about blaming institutions, it is about asking what small practical shifts can improve understanding without increasing pressure. Welcome to today's bold conversation. We're not teaching Miss Pushpa personal development. Through her journey from classroom teaching to training, she continues to inspire learners by focusing on confidence, engagement, and practical learning experiences. With that, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Insia, and a very warm welcome to everyone. So, let me start with something I'm sure as a teacher, every one of you who has taught a class has felt it. Quickly type your first instinct. How many times have your students said, "Yes, ma'am, yes, sir, understood," and later you discover that they actually hadn't understood a thing? Quickly type your first instinct. It happens daily, sometimes, very often, or almost always. Please use the chat box and type your first instinct. How many times your students say yes, they have understood it, but when you recheck, you realize they haven't. Insia, have we received any responses? I'm not able to see.
No, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So, dear audience, yes. So, Sujata says sometimes. Shuhud Patan says sometimes, sometimes. Oh, Jaya Sharma says hi. Hi, Jaya ma'am. Dinesh says mostly. All right. So, exactly. This is the classroom occasionally. Brishni says occasionally. This is a classic example of silent classroom illusion. Insia, can we have the slide? From my years of teaching in school and then into training, I have seen this again and again. The classroom goes quiet when you ask them, have they understood? They don't say anything. They just remain quiet most of the times. And that quietness, as the teachers, we understand it. Yes, they have understood. Students write, nod, copy the notes, and we as teachers sigh a sigh, a relief that no questions were asked. So we assume everything is fine. But quiet isn't the same clarity. Often there is silence which hides confusion. Sometimes students are afraid to ask. Some think everyone else has understood, so they keep quiet so that they avoid looking foolish. And over the time, students start pretending, and they become very good at it. They copy notes, they parrot answers, smile when asked, but the copying is not same as learning. This is the hard reality. And I think most of us have experienced it. Only when we check with students, we realize that that quietness had something which was hiding, that confusion, that feeling that if I ask, that embarrassment, to avoid that embarrassment. And most of these students are sailing in the same boat. Audience, I would request you to please keep yourselves mute. All right, thank you, Insia. Okay, so over the time, the kids start pretending, they become pro at it, and no issues, Asha. So today, I want to share some practical ways to make classrooms more responsive, more honest, and a safer place where students feel comfortable saying that I didn't understand, and they actually mean it, because that honesty is where the real learning begins. And honestly, this isn't just a student problem, it is a system problem too. Participants, I would like to know from you, what are your ways of checking learning with students? Can anyone share by unmuting their response? Like, after teaching a concept, how do you check whether they have understood or not? What is your way? Okay, Brishni says interaction and discussion. Nice. Brishni, from you, I would like to know, so from a class, what is the percentage of children that interact after concluding a topic? Rapid recap, Shudh Pathan says it's a rapid recap. So from y'all, I would like to know, what is the percentage of students that participate after concluding a topic when the interaction, discussion, or recap is going on? Dinesh is sharing live examples. Almost everyone. That's nice. That's nice to know. That there's a rush to finish the syllabus. You can use the thumbs up icon on the screen. Just click on it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, 5. So most of the participants say there is a rush to finish the syllabus. Okay, so this is the same story, I believe, everywhere. We have participants from many places, and the story remains same, that we are in a rush to finish the syllabus. Sometimes schools unintentionally place more emphasis on covering the syllabus quickly than on ensuring the deep understanding for every student. As a teacher, we feel that pressure every day. What are the pressures that we feel? There's a pressure of finishing the syllabus, complete corrections, and corrections like heaps of corrections, get students ready for their exam, handle admin work. Most of we as teachers also talk to parents, deal with their queries, their worries, and at last we have expectation from management, we have result pressure. I'm sure this questions almost everyone must have done it. Who over here has stayed late to finish their school related admin work or correction work? Put it in chat. Okay, Dinesh, you okay, but your most of your work is office work. Okay, so Jata says correction work. Puneet, what about you, Puneet? So have you stayed up late to complete any of the school related work, admin related, or okay, Dinesh says my wife stays at school for her work. Okay, so Dinesh, you can share something about what kind of work she has to complete after school hours. Asia, can we have the slide? Right. So over here, you can see a teacher. She is under pressure. There's a pressure of completing the syllabus. There are parent expectations. There is administrative related work. There's exam schedule, performance pressure, checking. And this is not only the pressure that is experienced by the teacher. Even there is pressure which management feels. There is lot of competition these days. So there's a pressure of result, ranks, competition of targets. And in that competition, there is that hunger for fast outcomes, which pushes everyone towards completion. The system measures completion, but what about the student? A student remembers comprehension. I would like to know from you, what gets rewarded more in your institution? Is it fast completion? Is it students' understanding, exam scores, or attendance and compliance? What gets rewarded more in your institutions? We haven't heard from Sunita, Puneet, Manomani, Vanjeet. Can you please unmute or use the chat option? Okay, so Puneet says scores. Right. And Shrudd says almost all. So there's a lot of pressure. And what happens in the middle? Quietly, the understanding, the comprehension gets replaced, because as a teacher, we are facing so many pressure. We have to complete the syllabus. Students, for us, we get rewarded for our speed. Students may forget a chapter, they rush through, but they will remember whether the learning actually happened. So in today's session, we are going to talk about how to bring those small shifts in our teaching learning, which will help to develop a better understanding to students. But before that, I'm going to explain you something maybe a one sentence or two statements about definition, about some topic, and I want you to be honest over here. You don't have to take any notes. Don't look here and there for the answers. I'm going to explain one simple thing, that is binary logic in one sentence. So are you ready? Give me thumbs up. Okay. So binary logic is a way of thinking using only two answers, that is yes or no, on or off, one or zero. Computers and machines use this idea. Every decision every decision is broken down into simple yes or no questions. If it's true, we call it 1. If it is false, we call it 0. So binary language is a language that only knows two words, 1 and 0. And everything from simple switches to big computers is built on binary language. Now, have you understood what I have said? Okay, Sujata says yes. Sujata, if you were a 10-year-old kid, how would you explain this binary language to all of us?
I didn't get your question actually, Pushpa.
Okay, I just explained binary logic, right? So I want you to imagine yourself as a 10-year-old kid and explain to all of us what you have understood in your own words. There's nothing, don't worry, I'm not going to give you marks for it.
You can ask some other
Just relax.
teachers, they are the better persons. But yes, as a 10-year kid, so I don't think, it's very, you can say now, just a whole number, gaps, I will not able to explain. I will just focus on the pointers. Just
Okay. So tell me, whatever I explained about binary logic, binary number, are you not able to recall the definition? Is it difficult?
Yeah.
All right. Jaya Sharma, can you please tell me, did you understand what I have explained? Okay, or simply, which keywords do you remember from the concept that I have explained? Anyone? Anyone?
True, false, basically.
Okay,
Two
so
numbers.
okay, Dinesh says he recalls true,
Yeah.
false. Okay,
Yeah,
anything else
true,
that
false
you would like
logic.
to add?
And if you ask me, Pushpa, as a 10-year-old kid, so I'll be playing that game with the fingers, right? When you play with the fingers.
Hmm.
So if it's finger one means yes, or two fingers means no. So like children play, right? So it's a similar way you can metaphorize it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so
Yeah.
Dinesh, as a 10-year-old kid, remembers these keywords, true, false, and two fingers to use it. Fine. Jaya Sharma, would you like to add something to it? Any keywords that you remember, or any point?
Binary numbers, as how I recall, it is connected to digital world, on and off, uh, what we call it as input, output, something like that.
Fine. So yes, no. Brishni has dropped a message in the chat, says yes, like yes, no. So what was the problem over here? Participants, did my speed affect your retention? The way I explained? Okay, no. Jaya Sharma says Yes, maybe she has raised hand. Would you like
I
to unmute it?
maybe I was little distracted during the lecture. So
Okay, so you were distracted. Fine,
yeah.
fine. Anyone else who would like to add? So, if you explain any concept with this speed or this way, is it as a 10-year or maybe any school going child, maybe in senior grades also? Uh, what do you think? Will be able to remember the whole concept or just the keywords, or in general, overall, the speed and the way of explaining would affect the learning? Keywords helped. Okay. Jaya says keywords help. Thank you. Thank you all for your responses. Puneet also says keywords. Right. And this is the reason we must create a space in classroom for participation, doubts, and thinking. This might have sounded a little harsh, talking about the pressure, talking about the illusions that are being created during teaching learning. But there are ways that we can use, there are techniques that we can use to overcome, right? So now I'll show you a practical tool which will help you to judge how we can take a how can we check the learning of the student. So there is a practical classroom kit tool kit which we usually call it as exit tickets. How many of you all have heard this before or have used it in their classroom? This is an exit ticket. Anyone who has used this technique before? Okay, it's a simple, a quick, and honestly a very powerful tool. Okay, it's not a kind of test. It's just a way of ending your lesson instead of asking any questions and getting only silence. Most of us, okay, Dinesh says it is a checklist, correct? Somehow it is a checklist. So when we usually ask questions, we either get yes, no response, or there's a quietness in the class. And but this kit, if this exit ticket tool, if you start using, so there will be a different response you will start getting. So instead of just asking any questions and getting only silence, we give students a small task to show what they have understood. Like, ask them to give one real life example or explain in one line. It could be one question from the topic that you have explained, one reflection, or one short response. And the beauty of this technique is it just takes 1 or 2 minutes. It is not a traditional way of taking test. So instead of just asking after explaining the concept, just assuming that have you understood, they say yes, they say no, and you assume that, oh, the syllabus is over, the portion is completed, they have understood, and let's move forward. This technique will help you understand whether there is actual learning taking place or not. And you will notice that the students start confidently opening up and sharing their responses. When you ask them one reflection, one short response, there will be a curiosity generated in class, and they will start giving responses to you as to the teachers. So you will notice that on the slide we have written, if students cannot explain it simply, they probably memorized it temporarily. What does this mean? When the student has shared the response in his own words, one reflection that he has given, you will understand it. Yes, the student has explained it simply. and say if the student cannot explain the idea in simple word, that simply means that the concept has gone beyond the if the student is not able to explain, so that concept is just memorized and just the keywords are been taken from the concept and just explain. So this exit ticket is a quick way of ending the lesson, of ending the ending any concept by generating a response from students. From the audience, from the participants, I would like to know your ways of ending a class after teaching a concept. Jaya Sharma has raised hand. Would you like to add something?
I usually love to end all my classes, leaving a kind of curiosity in my kids. I uh, give them a query related to daily life and the topic which I have taken in the class. So, after class also they dwell upon it, they remember, and they are more excited to see me or receive me again in the class next day. So, ma'am will come, we will respond. Okay, we have got the answer. So, this is one technique I use out of many. It helps me a lot.
So, Jaya, can you give us one example, if you don't mind? Which subject do you teach?
I
And
am
how?
mathematics teacher.
All right. So, can we know
Oh,
from you one
yes.
example? How do you relate it to the real world and what type
Yes,
of?
yes. Definitely. And a wonderful example I would like to share with all of you. First of all, greetings to all the participant teachers. One example which is I have always encountered experience in my maths classes. Kids often ask, when I'm teaching integration, they're always like, मैम ये कौन सा हम घर में यूज करने वाले हैं, ये कौन सा मेरे बिजनेस में आने वाला है. सो देन एक गराज का एक एग्जाम्पल है. आप ट्रक का जो टायर होता है उसका आप अगर देखोगे व्हील में जो होल्स होते हैं, कभी check it out on YouTube. I'm damn sure that you will get the mechanism how they are using mathematics into this, and in this integral formulas are used. तो वो जैसे एक व्हील पे अगर 7 होल्स चाहिए, परफेक्टली बैठते हैं. इट इज नेवर डन के चलो व्हील में 7 होल चाहिए कैसे भी करके कर दो. So there are different mechanisms. So when I do such queries, kids go and think, and this is how they are connected to real life experiences. It
Right.
helps me.
So, yeah. So, that is your way of ending a class. That's your exit ticket question, right? So, this is how, I mean, dear participants, we can generate curiosity among students just 1 or 2 minutes after the session, after the class is over, after the topic has been taught. Just 1 or 2 exit ticket questions, ask them to share their response, ask them to relate it with real world, and then you will understand whether the learning has taken place or not, whether they have understood the concept. Simply if they explain it in their own words, yes, there is understanding. And if they don't, so that's where we need to rethink, replan our lessons. And there are small shifts, small ways that will help you bring students out of their pretending zone. Because as I said, and most of the classroom in the beginning also we had taken a poll. So most of you said it happens mostly when students say yes, they have understood, and when you check, you don't get, when you come to know that they were the actual understanding was not there. So there are certain simple techniques that will help you to understand whether those students are in pretending zone, yes, no, and help them gain that confidence and come out of that pretending zone. So we are going to talk about 6 simple techniques which are very easy to use and very quick also. It is not that you will have to prepare something, prepare a whole plan for it. It is very simple. Can we have it on slide, Insia? Okay, so first and foremost, very easy, stop asking did you understand? Never a child, I mean, most of the times, I'm sorry to use word never, but most of the times children have that feeling that they may look foolish. There's a sense of embarrassment that, okay, everyone has understood, so how can I say that I haven't? So stop asking, did you understand? This kind of response, this kind of question will generate only yes or no answer response. And most of the time, honestly, it is quietness that you see. Nobody gets up and say, no, I have not understood. There will be very few. So instead of asking, did you understand? Try asking, which was the most confusing part of the topic? Simple. And this will help. This will help you to boost those children, to instinct those students to take part and answer. So this is the first technique. Stop asking whether you have understood or not. The second way is anonymous response, and this works beautifully if the setup is online. Even if it is online, you can go for it. Even if it is offline, you can go for it. Simply generate a Google form link or a Mentimeter poll. Share it with your students. Now everything is digital. We have numbers. Most of us have children's number, students' number, and vice versa. Or we have some kind of platform through which we can connect with them after school also. So try to take their responses anonymously, because a student may feel shy, a student may feel less confident, they may feel that the fear of judgment is there. So therefore, ask them to anonymously write their responses, which topic they haven't understood. Right. Now the third technique is a doubt chat. A doubt chat is somewhat similar to anonymous response, but here you can do it in an offline setup also. Ask student to write their doubts quickly on a piece of paper, and at the end of the class, just randomly collect from them without seeing who is giving which chat. Just at the end of the class, collect it from them. And honestly speaking, even the quietest child in your class who has not ever asked you any question will gradually start asking the doubts. Then the fourth technique is 1 minute paper. So and at the end of your session, at the end of your class, you can simply write 2 statements on the board and ask the students to complete. Maybe like this: the first statement, this is the part I did not get. And the second statement, this is the part I understood well. So ask them to write it. You may ask them not to write their names. That's okay, completely fine. And then collect it from them. So as a teacher, get these responses will help you to plan your lessons better, and even the students will feel they will understand, they will have that safe space safe space to share their responses, to share their doubts, because in a classroom they may have that fear of judgment, they may have that low confidence to not share. They may feel that, okay, my classmates and other fellow mates have understood, so they may feel that, and usually that happens. So these techniques will help you to take the responses from students. And the fifth technique is red, yellow, green. As a teacher, this may require a little preparation, but this is a very interesting and very interactive technique, and this generates curiosity among students also, because they get chance to express themselves without saying anything in the class. So what is this red, yellow, green cards? Red stands for when there is total confusion, they haven't understood anything, totally blank. Yellow for partial, that they have understood certain concepts, certain not, so partial confusion. And green card is that they have understood everything. Now, without saying, without having to speak anything, or without even standing up in the class, just ask them, after your session, show me your card. So whatever card they show, you will get an idea which concepts has to be revisited. And the last one, which is my favorite, a bench discussion. Now, what is this bench discussion? When you ask any question in the class, usually the students who have understood it well will stand up and answer, and those who haven't may choose to sit quiet. So before asking any question, give 30 seconds to 1 minute to everyone and tell them, let the give them a space to discuss with their bench partners. So you ask the question and give them 30 seconds to discuss with their partners, and then together together they can discuss and come up with the answers. So this will make them feel less scary. So at times it happens, the child knows the answer, but they may feel that, whether am I correct, whether am I right or wrong, and may feel scared to open up and share the answer. But if you give this 30-second, 40-second time for them to discuss with their partners, they will be assured, okay, whatever I'm saying is correct, now I can stand up and answer. So this will boost confidence among the students. And these are some small practices which you can inculcate in your classroom, and that will help you, develop confidence in children. Because it's okay to be confused here, but if this confusion remains for a longer period of time, this will weaken their confidence and will weaken their understanding. So, and the moments the students stop feeling embarrassed to say I didn't understand, that is where the real learning begins. So now, participants, your turn. Which of these strategies do you think will help your student open up the most? For this, I would like to share a Mentimeter link in the chat box. Please share your responses over here. Which of these techniques do you think is most liked by all, or which of these techniques strategies do you think you would help your students to open up the most? Please give me a moment. I'll share a link in the chat box. Okay, meanwhile, if anyone would like to unmute and speak, which of these techniques?
Hi, Pushpa.
Hi, Dinesh.
So I just have one question, like before these things.
Right.
When there is a silence, right? When we were talking about, so that silence, every time, it's not that the person has not understood it, because there are people, there are children who are curious enough and they have their own thoughts, and
Right.
they have to listen to them. So sometimes it happens that even after a training session or after a class, I have to spend some more time to understand his or her perspective, because for everyone, a red dot is not a red dot. It can be a sun for somebody, and it can be a Japan's flag for somebody. So,
Yes.
and young minds, especially not, I'm not talking about the andragogy, because as an adult, we get attuned to a particular system. But as a child, they have that curiosity and they try to link the things with the things around us. So sometimes the silence is not the indicator of not understanding. Sometimes the silence is like they want to tell more about it or get more clarity also.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dinesh. So, as you said, everyone's perception is different. For one, it may be a red dot, and for other person, it may be anything, a flag or so. Everyone's perception, and yes, today's generation, they are like the curiosity is too high. So, agreed to it. But when we talk about a classroom scenario, as a teacher, I think knowing the understanding level of my child is equally important. So agreed, whatever you said is right, that a silent child may not be a child who has not understood anything, but again we need to know where the understanding lies. So these techniques will help teachers to make students more engaged into the classroom and share their experiences.
Thanks, Pushpa. Actually, most of my time has been with the adult learners only, but now I am also like moving towards the learning the pedagogy principles as well. So.
All right.
But still, I think the learning pattern is the same. But yeah, today's world, yeah, children are having a different perspective altogether. Either they
Yes.
know a lot because they're more smarter than what we were at our times and ages. So
Agreed. Yes, yes, totally agree. So, anyone else who would like to share which one of these technique you think will your students benefit the most from? I'm sorry, I'm not able to share the link. So, you can please use the chat option, or uh, it will be best if you unmute and share your thoughts on it. So, Manjeet, what do you think? Which of these techniques that we have discussed, the 6 techniques, which of these techniques you think will be the best to help your students open up? Should Okay, Dinesh says red, amber, green. Bench discussion, Sujata. Manomani has said bench discussion. Should keywords, right? Thank you. Thank you all for your responses.
Okay, one more point I would like to. I just love that particular thing also that you said that yes, they can say I didn't get to fill up, complete the sentence. That is also a good option. You know,
Complete the one
Ah,
sentence. Yeah, and 1 minute. Yes.
yeah, no, but that is also a good way. But that is something which I haven't used. But this is something which they will be honest and they will be more clear and will not hesitate. Like I got this, I didn't get that. So yeah, yeah, it's good.
So 1 minute to complete the statement. And yes, if the students are not comfortable, we can just ask them to complete the statement without writing their names. They can knowing the responses, can check which concepts need to be revisited, right? So that's nice. Yeah,
at least they will learn how to be honest in their answers. It will make them to be more accepting yes or no both. That practice is should be facilitated.
Yes. Correct, Sujata. So anyone else who would like to share? All right, then. Isya, can we have the slide, next slide, please? All are practical. Thank you. Thank you for that response. So at the end, I would like to say education was never meant to become a race against chapters. Students may forget definitions, but they will remember whether they felt scared, they felt stupid, they felt safe learning. Sometimes those 2 minutes of slowing down saves months of weak understanding. And maybe great teaching is not about how much did I finish. It's about what understanding or what impact did I create. So with this quote, I would like to end over here. And participants, I would like to know from you your key takeaways from today's session. So one word or one technique that you carry along in your classroom. Please share it with us in the chat box or unmute yourself. One technique, one word or one thing that you're going to take away in your classrooms. Take it into your classrooms. Manjeet, Manomani, Sujata. Okay, Asha says, thank you, Asha. Yes, Asha, why not? Instead of as a trainer, the first one, very well, it goes into training sessions also. Instead of asking, did you understand or was this concept clear? Just ask them what was their confusion. Where did you feel that more clarity can be given? So even the red, amber, green, the red, yellow, green technique can be used in training sessions. It will be a nice engaging way of checking the learning. All right, then.
Thank you so much, Vishka. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I can't hear you properly. Ma'am, please could you?
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Radhika Kotha. I see that we have Sujata, Dinesh, Asha, Brishni, and Manonmani over here. Pushpa, you are not audible. Your connection is distorted. So whatever you are saying, we are not being able to hear anything. So maybe you could just log off and log in again. Yeah. So, yes, thank you so much, all of you, for being over here. And I just have a query, Manonmani and Brishni. I mean, you are educators, right? Can you please just give me a thumbs up if that is true? Yes. Okay. So, when I actually say what is the most difficult thing that you feel when it comes to connecting with your students, what would you say in one sentence? Manonmani, would you like to go first? Yeah. Brishni?
Hello, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, absolutely, Brishni.
So, first of all, I would like to say the session was really wonderful. It was very enlightening, and really it has given some insights which can be used in the classroom. So, I really like the session. And yes, the most difficult thing is that, nowadays students are very, very updated. So, as a teacher, you have to keep yourself abreast with the modern technology, you need to keep yourself updated with new knowledge. This is the most difficult thing as a teacher that I think I face is a challenge for the present day teacher.
Okay. So, if I may know, which grade do you deal with, Brishni?
Well, I teach for the MBA students.
Okay.
And I'm also a life skills trainer.
So, when you're saying MBA students, I guess the biggest challenge is how to connect with the Gen Z.
Yes, exactly. They are so fast moving with technology and everything. So, as a teacher, we also need to keep abreast with all the new happenings, new technologies. Otherwise, coping with them really becomes very difficult.
The biggest challenge, I guess, that we face, because yes, even at a point I have dealt with them. I go for lectures, guest lectures in the middle. So when it comes to Gen Zs, the biggest thing that I find is that they don't listen continuously. It's just they zoned
Exactly.
out. Within minutes, they
Because
zoned out, and you have to keep on getting them back into the fold.
yes, I interrupted in middle, please don't mind.
No, no, no.
Because they are so overloaded with informations, because they have these gadgets in their hand, they are bombarded with informations. They have so much information that they're overloaded with it. And so they lack this concentration which we had in our times.
Absolutely, absolutely. The only way that I could actually, make a few changes when it came to college students was by using technology. To be very frank,
Exactly.
because they somehow connect only with that. Like, yes, they
Exactly.
do
Very
listen to
true.
you. I'm not saying they're all bad. It's just that, at on a scale of 1 to 10, if we had connection at 7 and 3 technology, theirs is 3 connection and 7 technology. It is like
True.
that. So mostly it is like, my counter questions are all related to, okay, what does your Google say? What does your latest thing say? And then they come up with different kinds of ideas, because anyway, I go for soft skills. So whenever they come up with any query, when it comes to, it's mostly related to, interviewing and how to prepare for that. And then and most of the time they don't like the normal answers that should be given in interviews, if I can say.
You are very right.
So then
They don't want the traditional answers anymore.
yes, and then the argument starts that, why should we get into a company which actually is, doesn't understand all these norms. And then the Gen Z, being Gen Z, goes into an emotional, what do you call, complete, the entire paradigm shift somehow in the class. But then it's always, I have always felt that, when you mention anything about technology, which is something, I actually read up a lot. So anything that you mention about technology and then start your topic, immediately they are into it. that is just one thing that I've
True.
observed about them. Keeping and it's a very weird thing that whenever I'm like, obviously you cannot be parallel with what they are thinking. So whenever I am not being able to gel with them, or I don't know what they're saying, and I'm like, stop, you just first of all explain to me what you are actually talking about, and then we'll continue the conversation. And they very interestedly, they come and they tell me the entire thing. I don't give them much time. I just say, in 2 minutes, explain the entire thing to me. So then they go. So this way, it's like I'm making them talk at the same time. Their skills are coming out, and it's a win-win thing from all sides. That is a practice which I do, to be very frank. Yeah.
Yes, very true. You have rightly spoken it out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prishni.
Thank
Pushpa,
you. Thank you so much.
your connection is good?
Yeah, I believe yes.
Yes. Okay. Please continue.
All right. So, any queries from your end, participants? Any classroom scenarios, problems that you would like to share and would like to have a discussion on the solution? All right. So, then, participants, I would like to know what would be the next topic you would like to have a conversation on? You can use the chat option to write, or please unmute yourself and share your response. Manumani, Asha. Okay, Dinesh says child stress and psychology. Puneet, Vrishni. All right. So stress management. Puneet says classroom management for the students who move here and there. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. We will like to have the conversations in future. And for now, over to you, Insia.
And do we have a poll before I close?
I have a network issue. I'm not able to reload it.
Yeah.
I'm connected with the phone.
If I may interrupt a little bit, I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to pardon us because there's some network issue going on from every end. Puneet, my question to you is, when you are saying classroom management for the students who move here and there, may I know which grade you're talking about? Puneet, you're there? Okay, fine. Just ping Puneet a little later, Insia.
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, as I close, today's conversation was not against teachers, it was not against management, it was against automatic teaching. Because educators are tired, management is pressured, and students are overloaded. And yet, small shifts can create huge learning changes. If one teacher today paused before rushing, if one professor creates safer doubt spaces, and if one institution values understanding alongside completion, then today's conversation mattered. Thank you all for joining our bold conversation, and thank you to Pushpa ma'am for those practical strategies. As promised, we are sending over a takeaway in the WhatsApp group shortly. While you are here, do click the Athulit Academy links to keep the conversation going. Also, mark your calendars for May 23rd. Our next bold conversation is coming up. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
That was mistakenly clicked. Thank you.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you all for joining.